these flying machines are becoming more and more popular.
Yeah. In the last year alone, one high street retailer has told us they've sold 17,000 of these devices. They come in various sizes. This is a particularly powerful one, a big one. Some of them have cameras and they're capable of travelling very fast and at great heights.
But you've been telling us that they can go wrong, and even when they don't, they can still be extremely dangerous.
When it comes to getting a bird's eye view of the world, there's no doubt that drones are brilliant inventions. Drones with built-in cameras start at just £20, meaning that they're accessible to anyone.
And they're everywhere now. TV crews like us are using them to get that perfect aerial shot. They're also great fun to play with. More and more people are buying them to use at home, on holiday, in the local park. But with drones reaching heights of around 400 feet, they're not so much fun if things go wrong.
We were contacted by the owner of this drone, who sent us his footage after it malfunctioned and crashed into Betty Luca's garden in Kent, just feet away from the Eurostar train line.
I was hanging washing on this line, and it came across here, this noise, and this thing went along my line and fell down into that bush.
And what was it? How big was it?
About like that, I think. And it's making this hell of a noise. So I thought, what on earth is it? Sorry, I'm still shaking.
Yeah, right.
You had a really lucky escape, didn't you?
Well, yes, really, yes. I mean, it could have been really nasty if it hit my head. Yes.
Which is exactly why the Civil Aviation Authority has strict rules in place to make sure people fly their drones safely and responsibly. If you use them professionally, you need a full license. But for amateur drone users, there is the CAA's drone code. It states that you must never fly higher than 400 feet, and you must keep your drone away from aircraft and airfields unless you have their permission, like we did for our filming. Also, drones fitted with cameras must not be flown over congested areas or within 50 metres of vehicles, buildings or people without getting their explicit consent first, like I gave to our professional drone operator.
So, the rules themselves are crystal clear, but figures from police forces across the UK show that in the past year alone, they've received more than 450 calls about drones from members of the public. In fact, one force has reported a more than 20-fold increase since last year. So are these drone users deliberately breaking the rules, or do they simply not know about them?
Stefan and Hannah Michalak from Stockwell certainly didn't, and it took getting into trouble with the police at the Natural History Museum before they realised there are actually rules on where they can fly their drone.
It's definitely told off for using its flying camera.
I don't think I was allowed to get that shot.
I was interviewed for the police for, I'd say, about 6 hours altogether. I never heard of anyone getting in any legal trouble with it. I was under the impression that as long as, you were sensible and as long as you knew what you were doing almost, then it would be okay.
Stefan was let off by the police and read up on the CAA's drone flying rules.
If I hadn't have got in trouble, then I would never have learned about the rules and I'd probably be still out there flying it now.
But it's not just flying drones in populated areas that's causing concern. People flying drones near aircraft is a growing problem. Air safety figures show there have been around 20 reports since last year from pilots who've experienced drones coming dangerously close to their planes or helicopters. A terrifying prospect, and luckily all near misses so far. One of those pilots is gyrocopter instructor Kai Mora. It happened to him not once, but twice.
The first time you saw a drone, what happened?
Well, I was on a training flight with a student, and it suddenly appeared in front of us as we came into land. So I took the controls from the student and took avoiding action and managed to avoid it.
Literally swerved.
Yes. If we hadn't avoided it, we probably certainly would have had an impact.
And the second time?
And the second time, well,
So what can be done to tackle unsafe drone use?
Well, in Ireland and America, plans are already in place to roll out a compulsory registration scheme for anyone who owns a drone. It will mean they can be fully educated on the latest rules and safety information. If the UK government were to follow suit, it will mean that irresponsible drone users could be tracked down far more easily.
Which could help in cases like this. Last month, a police horse called Fimber from the West Yorkshire Mounted Branch was spooked while out in the paddock, with tragic consequences. He ran into a post and sadly died of his injuries. Officers later discovered a drone nearby and suspect this was the cause. But without a drone registration scheme in place, it's almost impossible to track down the owner.
Had there been a registration scheme that the owner had complied with, and there were identifying marks on that drone, then yes, that would have helped us, and we could have identified the owner and then made the appropriate inquiry.
Law lecturer McKenna has contributed to government studies on drones. He's firmly in favour of compulsory registration.
A registration scheme would require those purchasing drones to identify themselves in terms of names and addresses. It will provide the regulatory authorities with that vital information they currently don't have.
In the meantime, Kai is calling on all drone users to remind themselves of the rules before there is a real accident.
I think educating people better would be extremely helpful, because I'm quite sure that there's only a very, very, very small minority that try and push the boundaries up until the point when it will end up with an impact, or it will end up hurting somebody.
Well, if any of you have had a near miss or any problems with drones, do get in touch with us. And you can also find out more information about how to use drones